Some old Hollywood stars were involved in shocking things that would leave the mouths of their fans open in awe. From being involved with the mafia to being a secret lesbian, some of these stars' double lives were far from ideal. Elizabeth Scott, the secret lesbian. Born Emma Matzo, Scott's journey to Hollywood stardom began in the 1950s when the film industry decided to turn her into a glamorous icon. With a new American name and training in acting, dressing, and demeanor, all that was left was to change her name, and that was how the name Elizabeth Scott came about. On top of that, Paramount crafted a fake biography for her and always described her as beautiful, blonde, aloof, and alluring in press releases. They eventually molded her into a tough femme fatale, branding her as the Threat. Critics generally praised her performances, and she starred alongside some of Hollywood's leading men. However, things began to go south for Scott when gossip columns often noted her lack of a steady boyfriend and that none of her co-stars seriously dated her, which was unusual for the time when romantic flings between leading men and their co-stars were common, even if they were just for publicity. Scott, however, stayed out of those staged romances. It appeared odd, and so the media began to dig deeper. Scott worked steadily, though she faced stiff competition from Veronica Lake and Lauren Bacall, who also played tough, dangerous roles. She understood her place in Hollywood, beautiful but not as stunning as Lake, and talented but not quite as skilled as Bacall. She invested her money wisely, but her career faced a different kind of threat. As it turned out, she was a lesbian. While many male stars of the golden age of Hollywood were also gay, they often faced threats from studios but could find some solace in a discreet underground gay culture. Lesbians, however, were not so fortunate. They had to stay deeply in the closet, and the threats against them were severe. Some, like silent film star Alla Nazimova, manipulated young actresses through promises of career help, taking advantage of them regardless of their sexual orientation. Elizabeth Scott, however, had too much integrity to exploit other women. She often traveled to Paris, where there was more acceptance of her lifestyle, and even began dating Fried, an openly gay Parisian entertainer, but as far as Hollywood was concerned, she hid her real sexuality, keeping it a secret. The studio, however, didn't like her choice to date an openly gay person. If the news got back to America, it could end her career. But in the 40s and 50s, Americans got little news from Europe unless it was about the Cold War. So as long as Elizabeth Scott's secret life stayed in Paris, the studio allowed it. But whenever Scott returned to America, she would always seek comfort in the arms of high-class call girls who were lesbians also, because they were presumed to be discreet. This, she would soon find out, would be the biggest mistake she'd ever made. What she didn't know was that, sadly, many of Hollywood's top call girls had a second income source, selling stories to tabloids. Some even engaged in blackmail, but that's a different tale. In this day and age, there are stricter rules and laws guiding how papers and tabloids get their stories, but back in the 50s, papers would go to extreme lengths for a story. Even those who remember the National Enquirer's antics in the 80s, like destroying presidential candidate Gary Hart or sneaking reporters with mini-cameras into celebrity funerals, can't imagine the ruthlessness of 50s tabloids. The most ruthless paper in this regard was called Confidential. Publisher Robert Harrison made modern TV and web gossip look amateurish. His operations rivaled those of the FBI and the CIA. Confidential ruined enough lives to fill several books, and they had their sights on Scott due to her disinterest in men. For a while, they lacked enough dirt, but in 1954, they bought the address books of several popular Hollywood prostitutes. The magazine was ecstatic. An actor's name, address, and phone number in a call girl's little black book was enough to imply scandal. They disgraced male clients readily, but reserved special luridness for lesbians, given the magazine's male ownership. Scott became a target of insinuating articles. They couldn't push too far, though, since all they had was her name in the book. Still, Confidential kept digging. Eventually, they found a prostitute Scott trusted and liked, who had never sold information before. Tragically, this call girl recorded everything, and just like that, her double life was revealed to the whole world. John Garfield, The Dance of Communism. John Garfield, born Jacob Julius Garfinkel on March 4, 1913, in New York City, was one of Hollywood's most compelling actors, known for his rugged, everyman persona. His journey to stardom was marked by perseverance and talent, rising from humble beginnings to become a significant figure in American cinema. However, beneath his on-screen heroics and public persona, Garfield's life was marred by allegations of communist affiliations and rumored connections to the criminal underworld. Garfield's early life was challenging, growing up in the tough neighborhoods of New York's Lower East Side. His father struggled to provide for the family, and his mother passed away when he was just 7 years old. These hardships fostered resilience and determination in young Garfield, who found solace in acting. He honed his craft at the American Laboratory Theater and later joined the Group Theater, where he developed his distinctive naturalistic acting style. Garfield's breakthrough in Hollywood came with his performance in the 1938 film Four Daughters, which earned him his first Academy Award nomination. He quickly became known for his intense, brooding characters in films like The Postman Always Rings Twice, Body and Soul, and Force of Evil. His portrayals resonated with audiences, who saw in him a reflection of their own struggles and aspirations. Despite his success, Garfield's career and life took a dark turn in the late 1940s and early 1950s. During this period, America was gripped by the Red Scare, a widespread fear of communist influence in the country. Hollywood was a target. Many actors, writers, and directors were accused of communist sympathies. They were blacklisted from the industry. Garfield, known for his left-leaning political views and involvement in progressive causes, found himself under suspicion. In 1951, Garfield was subpoenaed to appear before the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, which was investigating communist infiltration in Hollywood. Garfield staunchly denied any communist affiliations and refused to name names, maintaining his integrity even under immense pressure. However, his refusal to cooperate with HUAC led to his blacklisting, effectively ending his career in major studio films. Adding to his troubles, Garfield was rumored to have connections to the criminal underworld. While much of this remains speculative, it's believed that his upbringing in the rough neighborhoods of New York and his association with certain figures in the entertainment industry brought him into contact with organized crime. These rumors, combined with his blacklisting, painted a contradictory picture of a man caught between his principles and the harsh realities of his time. Garfield's health began to deteriorate under the strain of these pressures. He suffered from a heart condition, exacerbated by the stress of being blacklisted and ostracized by the industry he loved. On May 21, 1952, at the age of 39, Garfield died of a heart attack. His death was a tragic end to a career and life that had promised so much. Rory Calhoun, The Human Sacrifice. Rory Calhoun was a minor but reliable movie actor whose career was handled delicately by the studios. Born Francis Timothy McCown, he endured a rough childhood marked by abuse. Dropping out of school, he fell into a life of crime and eventually went to prison for armed robbery. In 1943, at the age of 21, Calhoun's criminal activities caught up with him in a big way. He was arrested for breaking into a store and sentenced to 3 years in prison at the United States Medical Center for Federal Prisoners in Springfield, Missouri. This prison stint marked a turning point in his life. While serving time, he decided to reform and change the trajectory of his future. Upon his release, Calhoun took on a series of odd jobs, including working as a lumberjack and a cowhand. His rugged looks and physique eventually caught the attention of Hollywood talent agent Henry Wilson, who saw potential in the ex-convict. Wilson, who was known for transforming the images of his clients, suggested that McCown change his name to Rory Calhoun to help distance himself from his troubled past. Calhoun's criminal history was a closely guarded secret, especially as he began to find success in Hollywood. He made his film debut in 1944 and quickly rose to fame with roles in westerns and adventure films. Calhoun worked diligently to keep his past hidden, fearing that the revelation of his criminal activities would ruin his burgeoning career. Bugsy Seagull, producer by day, gangster by night. Bugsy Seagull, born Benjamin Seagull on February 28, 1906, in Brooklyn, New York, emerged as one of the most notorious gangsters in American history. His life was a fascinating blend of ruthless criminal activities and glamorous Hollywood aspirations, a juxtaposition that made his story all the more compelling. Growing up in the gritty streets of Brooklyn, Seagull quickly succumbed to a life of crime. By his teenage years, he had earned a fearsome reputation as an enforcer deeply involved in bootlegging, gambling, and murder. He co-founded the infamous Murder Inc., a group of contract killers that executed hits for the mob. Seagull's propensity for violence was legendary, earning him the nickname Bugsy, a moniker that alluded to his volatile and erratic nature. In the 1930s, seeking new opportunities and perhaps a bit of spark, Seagull moved to California. Here, he endeavored to expand his criminal empire while simultaneously attempting to break into the Hollywood scene. Los Angeles in the 1930s and 1940s was a playground for the rich and famous, a city where dreams were made and broken. Seagull, with his undeniable charisma and sharp sense of style, quickly found himself mingling with the stars. He attended high-profile parties and forged relationships with some of the biggest names in Hollywood, many of whom were blissfully unaware of the extent of his violent background. Seagull's charm and ambition led him to dream of becoming a movie producer. He invested in several films and tried to leverage his connections to gain a foothold in the industry. However, despite his efforts, his ventures into film production were met with limited success. Hollywood could not entirely shield him from his darker dealings. His friendships with celebrities were often superficial, as few truly understood the depths of his criminal activities. Despite the facade, Seagull's life remained steeped in danger and crime. He was instrumental in the development of the Las Vegas Strip, envisioning it as a gambling mecca that would cater to the wealthy elite. His project, the Flamingo Hotel, was an ambitious and costly venture that he hoped would secure his place in both the criminal underworld and American business history. Yet, the project was plagued by delays and financial mismanagement, leading to tension with his mob associates. In the end, his violent criminal background contrasted with his Hollywood aspirations, ultimately leading to his downfall. His lavish spending and the mounting costs of the Flamingo project drew the wrath of his mob partners. On June 20th, 1947, Seagull's double life came to a brutal end when he was shot and killed in his Beverly Hills home. Barbara Stanwick, the alleged spy. Barbara Stanwick, born Ruby Catherine Stevens on July 16, 1907 in Brooklyn, New York, is remembered as one of Hollywood's most versatile and powerful actresses. Her on-screen presence was formidable, and she carved out a legendary career in film and television. However, beneath the polished exterior of this beloved star lay a life entangled with underworld figures and covert activities, particularly during the tumultuous era of the Red Scare. Stanwick's rise to stardom was marked by resilience and determination. She began her career in the entertainment industry as a chorus girl before transitioning to acting. Her breakthrough came in the 1930s, and she quickly became known for her roles in films such as Stella Dallas, Double Indemnity, and Christmas in Connecticut. Her performances were characterized by a blend of strength, vulnerability, and an undeniable magnetism that captivated audiences. Despite her success, Stanwick's personal life was far from serene. She had a series of rocky relationships and marriages, most notably with actor Robert Taylor. The couple's union was often described as a marriage of convenience, orchestrated more for Hollywood publicity than genuine affection. It was during this time that Stanwick's connections to underworld figures began to surface. Rumors of Stanwick's associations with the mob circulated within Hollywood circles. She was said to have formed friendships with notorious gangsters who were drawn to her tough, no-nonsense persona. These relationships reportedly protected her. They also gave her power. This was unusual for women in the industry at that time. Some speculated that her ties to the underworld provided her with leverage and security in an industry rife with exploitation and power struggles. The Red Scare of the 1940s and 1950s was even more dramatic in Stanwick's life. This period, marked by intense anti-communist sentiment and widespread fear of subversion, saw many in Hollywood accused of communist sympathies and blacklisted. Stanwick, known for her staunch anti-communist views, became an active participant in the industry's efforts to root out alleged communists. However, her involvement in these activities was a bit deeper than she let on. Publicly, she was a vocal supporter of anti-communist organizations, including the Motion Picture Alliance for the Preservation of American Ideals, MPA, a group of conservative Hollywood figures who worked closely with the House Un-American Activities Committee, CHUAC, to identify and denounce suspected communists within the industry. But behind the scenes, according to rumors, Stanwick's actions were secretly more covert. She was rumored to have engaged in secret activities, providing information on colleagues and participating in covert operations aimed at exposing and undermining communist influences in Hollywood. Her staunch anti-communist stance and willingness to collaborate with authorities earned her both admiration and animosity among her peers. Dorothy Kilgallen, the JFK investigator. Dorothy Kilgallen was a renowned journalist, television personality, and investigative reporter whose career spanned from the 1930s until her untimely death in 1965. Born on July 3, 1913, in Chicago, Illinois, Kilgallen grew up in a family deeply rooted in journalism. Her father, James Kilgallen, was a respected reporter, and it was through his influence that Dorothy developed a passion for news and storytelling. Kilgallen's career took off in the 1930s when she began writing a widely read column, The Voice of Broadway, for the New York Journal-American. Her column covered a mix of celebrity gossip, social commentary, and hard news, and it became immensely popular. She had a sharp wit and an eye for detail, which made her a standout in the competitive world of journalism. In addition to her column, Kilgallen was a regular panelist on the popular television quiz show What's My Line, which brought her further fame and recognition. However, it was Kilgallen's work as an investigative journalist that truly set her apart. Her most controversial and dangerous assignment came in the early 1960s, when she began investigating the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Kilgallen was deeply skeptical of the official account provided by the Warren Commission, which concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in the assassination. She believed there was more to the story and was determined to uncover the truth. Kilgallen's investigation into the JFK assassination was both extensive and perilous. She conducted numerous interviews, gathered confidential information, and meticulously analyzed the evidence. Her efforts led her to Jack Ruby, the nightclub owner who famously killed Oswald. Kilgallen was one of the few journalists to interview Ruby while he was in custody, and she reportedly obtained significant information that contradicted the official narrative. As she delved deeper into the assassination in a bid to get to the bottom of things, Kilgallen reportedly veered off the moral highway and began engaging some dangerous individuals while acting like she was being straight and narrow. These included underworld figures and people with potential ties to the intelligence community. On one hand, she seemed to be getting good information, but on the other, her pursuit of the truth placed her in precarious situations as she navigated a web of secrecy, conspiracy, and potential threats to her safety. In November 1965, Kilgallen was found lifeless in her Manhattan townhouse under mysterious circumstances. She was discovered in her bedroom, dressed in a nightgown, sitting upright in bed with reading material nearby. The official cause of death was listed as an overdose of alcohol and barbiturates, but the peculiar details surrounding her death fueled speculation and suspicion. Several aspects of Kilgallen's death raised questions. First, her autopsy revealed a combination of drugs in her system that she was not known to abuse. Additionally, the placement of her body and the presence of makeup suggested she had been moved or staged post-mortem. Most troubling was the fact that the notes and manuscript she had been working on, related to her JFK investigation, were missing and never recovered. These anomalies led many to believe that Kilgallen's death was not accidental, but rather the result of foul play. It was speculated that she was silenced because of the sensitive information she had uncovered about the Kennedy assassination. Moe Howard, drowning in debt. He was the leader of the beloved comedy trio The Three Stooges and was known for his humor and iconic bowl haircut. On screen, he entertained millions with his antics. He became a household name alongside Larry and Curly. Moses Harry Horwitz, better known as Moe Howard, was born on June 19, 1897, in the Brooklyn neighborhood of Bensonhurst, New York. He was the fourth of 5 sons born to Jenny Gorovitz and Solomon Horwitz, a family of Lithuanian Jewish descent. While his parents and brothers Benjamin, Jack, and Irving did not venture into show business, Moe, along with his older brother Shemp Howard, Samuel, and younger brother Curly Howard, Jerome, became iconic members of the Three Stooges. As a child, Moe was called Moe, but later preferred the name Harry. He had a great love for reading, particularly enjoying Horatio Alger books. His older brother Jack remembered, "I had many Horatio Alger books, and it was Moe's greatest pleasure to read them. They started his imaginative mind working and gave him ideas by the dozen. I think they were instrumental in putting thoughts into his head to become a person of good character and success. This early passion for reading and learning helped Moe immensely in his acting career, enabling him to quickly and easily memorize his lines. But even after he became famous and successful, something dark lurked in the shadows of his life. Beneath the comedic facade, Moe was rumored to have led a life fraught with financial struggles and hidden dealings that contrasted sharply with his public persona. To cope with these financial pressures, Moe was rumored to have turned to gambling, a habit that quickly spiraled out of control. Heavy gambling left Moe with big debts. It forced him to seek out questionable associates to manage his money troubles.